Void Elf Alliance in Stormwind Whisper. Second video of the day. We're gonna talk about Indiscriminate Carnage because someone wanted me to cover it. So I covered it briefly during my small changes type of situation. But Carnage is one of the bigger changes that happened. So let's go over it. So Carnage used to be a 45-second cooldown that made Garrote and Rupture apply to 8 additional targets, or 7 additional targets, 8 total, my bad. Now it's a passive when used from stealth to apply to 2 additional nearby enemies, so 3 enemies total every time from stealth. Now the way that this can happen is, for example, if I go 1, 2, and then this is probably too slow, 3, yeah, that's too slow. But I can still get out, if they were stacked, I'd be able to get out 3 on the first one, 3 on the second one, and then 3 on the third one. And I can pick between Garrote and Rupture. So if I want to Garrote, that would be 9 Garrotes. If I want to Garrote, Rupture, that would be 6 Garrotes and 3 Ruptures. And that passive is from any stealth. So this works with Vanish, and this works with Shadow Dance as well, which is a 1-minute cooldown. Now, it is weaker than what we had previously, right? But with Assassination getting retuned, for example, this beyond 5 targets, this beyond 5 targets, and Arterial being 4 additional, so 5 targets, the Spirit of Assassination is getting tuned closer to the 4 to 5 target range rather than 7 to 8, which I think thematically makes more sense with the multi-dotting and the cleaving. So I don't mind this actually, and it makes room for other effects, right? So things like buffing Poison Bomb. The AoE is bigger now, so Poison Bomb might have a bigger role. Crimson Tempest is doing a lot of damage. Nuix Sanguinate is really good in AoE. Caustic Spatter can be really good in AoE. So we have a lot of tools now that can help bring our AoE up and get us to perform. And I don't think that the reliance on Carnage is there anymore to prop us up the same way that it is on live right now. That being said, a lot of people still don't like that it's being used from stealth because that's a limitation. Some people want to see it as a true passive all the time. And to that I say, sorry, I guess. I mean, I'm not the one making the decision, but I disagree, frankly. This is... how do I say this? I understand wanting it to be a full passive because that would be more fun. But if you put too much power into Carnage, you have to take power out of other things. So, for example, if I'm doing my AoE, I have 100% of my damage. And I can choose to split that amongst my effects, right? If I want, Garrote, Rupture, and Crimson Tempest to do 60% of my damage, that leaves 40% of it. 40% could then be used on Poison Bomb, Fan of Knives, Mutilate, Trinkets, all that stuff. The issue is if you put too much into Indiscriminate Carnage, all the other ones have to suffer. So in situations where you wouldn't take Carnage, Caustic Spatter would be weaker, Crimson Tempest would be weaker, Exsanguinate would be weaker. There's still a balance that needs to happen because you only have 100% of your damage. You can't go over 100%. And so Indiscriminate Carnage had to get nerfed in order to make way for the new effects. And I think that having it in your opener from stealth is perfectly fine. If you need more casts, Shadow Dance is still there for you. Shadow Dance gets you all the bleeds you would ever need. In longer fights, you will have to manually multi-dot. That's just the payoff that needs to happen. But even that, I think, is fine. And based on my M+ testing so far, the smoothness of the spec is really nice. I think that a lot of the energy problems are just not really relevant. Venomous Wounds being at 8 energy now versus 6 is a big change. Dashing Scoundrel, if you were to take Dashing Scoundrel instead, so hypothetically, I'm just going to say, like, if you did this, Dashing Scoundrel's at 2 energy. 2 energy is crazy good. Like, I'm talking crazy. This is a lot of energy, especially in AoE, especially if you have something like Thrown Precision that applies weapon poisons all the time. It's a lot of energy. So I don't feel like Assassination has that much of an energy problem, even outside of Carnage. I was playing with passive Exsanguinate in my keys, and even then, I felt Exsanguinate, right? Don't get me wrong, Exsanguinate is slowing me down, but it isn't inhibiting my gameplay, right? That's the main thing. The thing that people hate about not having Carnage is feeling like you don't have energy, and I don't think that that's an issue right now. Even without it, you still have T, you still have your passive regen, you have a couple of ruptures out that you get out manually. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. You don't need this. The other thing about Carnage that needs to kind of be talked about is in public, the developer has made note that he wants to increase the window. So what does that mean? That means that instead of 3 seconds after, it should be more lenient, right? One of the ideas that was floated around, don't know if this is happening, but just one of the ideas of something that could happen is instead of applying from stealth and for 3 seconds after breaking stealth, it could apply to the next 2 casts of Garrote and Rupture each, right? So 4 casts total, 2 Garrotes, 2 Ruptures, and you have 15 seconds after breaking stealth, right? Something like that would also help the flow of the spec, where you don't have to sit in stealth and wait for the mobs to get grouped up. You can just go, do your thing, right? Get Crimson Tempest up, Fan of Knives a little bit, and when you're ready to, you can Garrote, Rupture, right? Get another Rupture up, and then you're going, right? You're going. So I think that would be a really good change for the spec overall. And I'm interested to see what happens in terms of like the leniency of the window and where we're gonna go from there. I don't really have much else to say about it, honestly. The stealth requirement doesn't bother me much. I think that a lot of people put weight on Assassination right now needing stealth really badly, and if you don't stealth, you don't do damage, like that sort of line of thinking. And right now on live, that is simply not true, and that is something that I've been fighting for years now, because it hasn't been true for years. The last time re-stealths really super mattered was in Battle for Azeroth during Nyalotha. All of Shadowlands, it just was not relevant. This does add some of that back, but given that you have Vanish for those moments, given that you can talent into Shadow Dance for those moments, I really don't think it's that much of an issue. I did a 20 Darkheart Thicket and a 22 Murazon's Rise earlier today. In neither one of those situations did I ever feel like I didn't have Carnage when I wanted it. It might have been one situation where it was like, oh, well, it's a chain pull, and I used Dance on this pull, and I used Vanish on this pull as an interrupt, right? Because I was playing Ironwire, so I was kind of being a little bit liberal with my casts and getting them out just to silence. If I knew that a chain pull was coming, or I didn't need the silence, I would have had something. But the fact that I was just using my cooldowns, getting them out, and then didn't have anything for a chain pull, that's on me, right? That's on me. That's not on the game. So overall, I'm really happy with the state of Indiscriminate Carnage. I think it's working out really well. It's still impactful. It still gives you a ton of energy back. You still get all the iron wires you want. And anything from after that is just bonus, in my opinion. This should be seen mostly as a way to get energy, versus a way to get damage. Most of your damage now is coming from things like Poison Bomb, things like Crimson Tempest. The Garrotes and the Ruptures will do a lot if you have a lot of them out, but it kind of takes a back seat to getting the engine going. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. Anyways, multi-dotting back on the menu. Indiscriminate Carnage, good stuff. It has to be weaker because of the design of the spec. Passive Exsanguinate, really good with it, by the way. If you get Garrote and Rupture out on 6 targets and then Crimson Tempest, your energy is flooding. Like, it's pretty good. It feels pretty good. So, I don't really have that many complaints. If you also don't really have a large pull, if you have like a 3-target pull and like a lot of 3-target dungeon stuff going on, I don't even know if you need to take this. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be really honest. There's secret tech right here. I don't think you need Carnage. Like, you could very easily do something where you're going into like this, and then like I don't know. Let's say hypothetically, if I wanted to, I could go into something like this. Obviously, I would drop Poison Bomb, right? But this is really, really poison focused, and I have Spatter. I kind of don't even need this. Gonna be honest, don't really need it. You can take the poison application as well. And this would be fine. You would spam Envenom just all the same. It would interact with your tier bonus, right? The 4-piece, if they ever buff it. You have Spatter, so if you need priority damage, and you need to like cleave, you can do that by hand. You can do that manually. And you still have Shadow Dance, you still have Vanish, you can still do that by hand. And then when you Kingsbane and you Arterial Precision, and you have your Crimson Tempest rolling and all your dots rolling, and you're cranking with Spatter, it's gonna be a lot of passive cleave from your priority target. And this is pretty much the single target build, right? If I take out these 3 points and I take these 2 instead, like, this is basically a single target build, right? So you're losing a lot less by going this route. And that sort of decision making that you get to do in terms of what build you're going and applying yourself depending on the dungeon is really interesting. And I don't know, maybe we'll see like different talent builds for Tyrannical and Fortified, different talent builds depending on what dungeon it is, right? Like, oh, well, I'm gonna play Kingsbane Dragon Tempered Blades, but only in a Tal Dazar, but not on a Fortified week. On a Fortified week, I'm gonna play Bleed builds. And for some people that might suck because they're like, oh, I need to hold on to a million builds. There's still gonna be generic builds, so it's still gonna be perfectly fine. But I'm saying, hypothetically, the potential is there for us to play a bunch of stuff. And that's really exciting to me. So, yeah, it's good. But yeah, anyways, I have other things to do. Guides to write, podcasts to plan, raid testing to prepare for. And I will see you guys in a future stream, hopefully. Or in the comments of another video. Probably. Anyways, have a good time. Bye-bye. Very exciting stuff. I love Assassination. It's a really good spec. Oh my god, it's so good. I enjoyed testing today in Raid and in Mythic Plus. It felt incredible. Okay, bye.